सद्गुरुप्रसादेन मुक्तोऽहमिति भावयेत् गुरुदर्शितमार्गेण मनःशुद्धिं तु कारयेत् अनित्यं खण्डयेत् सर्वं यत्किञ्चित् सदात्मगुरुचरम् ज्ञेयं सर्वस्वरूपं च ज्ञानं च मन उच्यते ज्ञानं ज्ञेयसमं कुर्यात् नान्यपन्था द्वितीयकः एवं श्रुत्वा महादेवी गुरुनिन्दां करोति या स याति नरकं घोरं यावच्चन्द्रदिवाकरम् यावत्कल्पान्तको देहस्तावदेवा गुरुं स्मरेत् गुरुलोपो न कर्तव्या स्वच्छन्दो यदि वा भवेत् ओंकारेण न वक्तव्यं राज्ञे शिष्यो कथञ्चन गुरोरग्रे न वक्तव्या मत्सत्यं च कदाचन गुरुत्वं कृत्यं गुरुं निर्जित्य वादतः अरण्ये निर्जले देशे स भवेद् ब्रह्मराक्षसः मुनिभिः पन्नगैर्वापि सुरैर्वा शापितो यदि कालमृत्युभयाद्वापि गुरु रक्षति पार्वती अशक्ता हि सुराद्यश्च अशक्ता मुनयस्तथा गुरुशापेन ते शीघ्रं क्षयं यान्ति न संशयः मन्त्रराजमिदं देवी गुरुरित्यक्षरद्वयं श्रुति वेदार्थवाक्येन गुरुसाक्षात्
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Friday morning's meditation here on Swan Street. We've just been hearing Swami Muktananda chanting and invoking the Guru, invoking the light of awareness to manifest itself in us, in our circumstances. So as we get started, let's do what we always do. We'll practice that simple practice that Yang Tang Rinpoche, great Dzogchen master, would say, as a great compassion as we extend this light to each other. And amazing, he would say you could extend this light in the present moment to the persons or the situation. We'll do that. And then you can extend it to the past of the person. And you can even extend it to the future. So this morning, we're really happy we have a guest speaker here this morning, Elliot Dasher. And Elliot is a great teacher of meditation, and he spent many years studying in Dharmasala with the Dalai Lama and many of the great yogis there.
Well, good morning. It's difficult to talk this time in the morning because it's my usual meditation time. But I'm happy to be here. Before this week, the last time I was in this room was about 30 years ago when I took a 2-year Gestalt training program from Sharon and Rudy. And before that, Rudy was my therapist mentor for a period of time. So it's nice to be back, and it feels kind of like home. In fact, I used to sit where you were sitting, Sharon, all the time. Although I spent the better part of 12 years in India and Nepal studying meditation, Eastern psychology, and philosophy, My training is as a physician, and I actually practiced here in D.C., actually in Reston, Virginia for 21 years full time. So it's important for me to place meditation within a Western construct because that's the way I teach it. So I wanted to share with you how that is arrived at in the Western framework. And if you want, you can close your eyes and be with this little imagery. If not, you can just stay with me. If you or I were in need of healing, any place between the period of about 400 BC to around 300 AD, we would have at one point in our life found our way journeying to one of the Asclepian healing centers. Asclepius is the Greek god of medicine, and all modern day physicians are actually called Asclepiads. And the oath they take at graduation, the oath of Hippocrates, begins with the words, "I swear to Apollo, to Asclepius, and then to his daughters Panacea and Hygeia." So these temples were all over the Mediterranean area, Turkey, Italy, Greece, and so on. There were about 700 or 800 of them. They lasted about 800 years. Asclepius was a healer and a savior, very much like the healer and savior that arose around 300, about 100 Christ, and had the same iconography and actually the same story in terms of origin. And it was that rising of the Christian period that gave an end to all the pagan rites, so-called pagan rites of the Greeks. But if you were in need of healing or you were sent there by a physician, you would gather your things, your clothes, and you would head off on a journey for a day or two. And you would meet people on the way back. They would tell you their stories of healing, which would give rise to your expectations. And then after a day or two, you would arrive at the gates, and you'd stay outside for a couple of days, and you receive some kinds of a cleansing ritual. It could be fasting, it could be bathing, it could be one thing or another. The idea is that you were going to enter a sacred experience and to let go of the day-to-day experience before you entered the temple. When you finally entered the temple, the first thing you came to was the statue within an enclosure of Asclepius, and you would leave there a honey cake or some cheese as an offering, as a sense of letting go of, giving up in order to receive. And then you would take your clothes and make your way to the dormitory because you're going to be there for a period of time. And then you participate in the day-to-day activities. These included many things. You might go to the gymnasium where they had baths and massage, and they had athletic competition and fitness activities. They had houses of clowns. They had roving minstrels. The greatest art and sculpture of Phidias and Praxiteles in Greece was there. The gardens were beautiful. There was always active philosophical dialogue in the streets to participate in. All kinds of activities. And maybe towards the latter part of the day, you'd go to the great theater. The greatest theaters in ancient Greece were at the healing centers. The largest one at Epidaurus in the Peloponnese, still largely there, undestroyed by the Romans, who destroyed the rest of the healing center but left it because of its beauty and its acoustics. And there you would listen to the great stories. And you might hear the Oresteia, the three books of, or the story of Oedipus, the trilogy. We only usually refer to the first book, but it's really a trilogy. And it's the story of a king who was fated to kill his mother, marry his mother, kill his mother. The mother would kill herself, kill his father, marry his mother, and eventually discover this and go from being king to pauper. And in second book, Antigone, he's taken through the streets of Greece and becomes a wise man because he's blinded himself with his mother's brooches when he sees that she has killed herself, learning about his fate. And people tell him their stories because he can't see. And at the end of his life, in the third book, Oedipus Cyclonus, he arrives at a clearing outside Athens, and the kings from the city-states come to ask him to be their wise man. And he goes out into the forest, tells them it's not his time, and he leaves with a puff of fire and smoke and becomes immortalized by the gods. In other words, he's resurrected. And this story of Asclepius is the story that one would know before one went there. But if you then heard the story of Oedipus, the full story, you hear the story of suffering, and how suffering can lead to transformation, how suffering can lead to wisdom, not simply to this desperation, to despair. And if you were Greek, you participated in that activity, that drama, as much as the drama was there. It made your little drama part of a larger drama. And so with the stories of Orestes and Electra and many of the others. So you could participate in this activity. And then at night, with all this brewing within, you would put on your sacred whites and you go to the Abaton, which is the great temple. And then you leave another offering to Asclepius and you ask for a healing dream, and you lie down with everybody else with your bedding and you dream the night away. And you wake up in the morning having had images in that period before one goes to sleep, images in that period when one just awakes from sleep, and the sleep experience itself, sort of the Sambhogakaya experience. And out of that experience, you relate to the priests what you have learned, discovered, and they give you some suggestions. It could be pharmaceuticals, nutritional material suggestions for retreat, meditation, or whatever. This particular aspect of the healing temple, that evening ritual, was called incubation. It was a process that came down from the shamanism in Mongolia to the southern European states, and we call that state of incubation meditation. And it was critical and central to the healing process at that time. And we have references to it in all the great literature of all the great Greek teachers, Plato, Aristotle, Socrates, and so on. And after you finished all your activities, if you came to a place of healing, you took your stuff, you left, you went home and participated in the community-related activities at home. And we have about 200 testimonials written in stone and parchment that still exist. So I'll give you one that was written around 400 BC. It goes, "Believe me, man, I was dead all the years I thought I was alive. The good, the holy, the beautiful, and the evil were all the same to me. And such was the darkness that enveloped my understanding and hid and concealed from me all these things. But now that I have come here and laid down in the temple of Asclepius, it is as if I have been saved for the remaining years of my life. I walk, I talk, I think. For the first time I see the sun, the sky, my fellow men, the Acropolis, and the theater." So this is a story of healing and holding in the Western tradition, the base of which is the process of incubation or meditation. And that is my tradition in medicine, and that is our tradition in the West, however obscured it has been by the 300 or 400 years we've had of science and that way of seeing the world. So I think it's important to know that this is not simply an Eastern tradition. This is deep in our culture in the West. A few more words, because I teach meditation largely to people who have not had an experience with meditation or any spiritual meditation, spiritual experiences. I tend to frame it for them in a way that is secular, because I teach largely my meditation programs within hospital settings. And I teach it in a way that I think that they can grasp this material. So I'm just going to share it with you in case it may be of some help for you. I divide for them meditation into three phases, three active phases. The first is really stilling the mind, because until the mental talk, until the activity of the mind is stilled, it becomes very, very difficult to do much else with the mind that isn't usable, it's not serviceable, it's not plastic, and it can't be trained. Once that's reasonably accomplished, the second stage of meditation, which is the central body of meditation for the people that I work with, is really developing, cultivating a naked awareness. That is awareness, a perception of experience rather than a conception of experience. The awareness that is absent elaboration, absent any kind of formulation or cognitive manipulation. And this process is one that you could call, in a sense, a transitional state, because cultivating that bare, naked, mirror-like, still awareness is really the central place from which we either get pulled back by gravity into the material world, into thought, feeling, images, and mind talk, or we can drop in with grace to what is given as a non-dual state, which is a given state. It's not a doing state. It's always there, so one can't do it. One simply needs to open up to that possibility. So my focus at that point is on teaching them that. And I focus on that in one specific way, and that is to introduce them to the first six aspects of consciousness in Buddhism, which are the five senses and mental consciousness, and talk to them about the difference between perception and conception, between the first moment of an experience and the second, third, and fourth moment. The first moment is a naked moment. If we're looking at the visual sensations, it's really the impression left by the images that go through the retina and around to the brain areas that produce the image that's related to those brain impressions. And in that first moment, that very first moment, all we have is that impression. It's unmodulated by cognition. It doesn't have a label. It doesn't have a name. It just is an experience. You can often get that the moment you arise in the morning if you simply look out before the mind starts kicking in. Once that first moment is there, we immediately, automatically, because of our conditioning and the ignorance that arises very early in consciousness, the very first thing we do is begin to objectify moment one into moment number two. We give it a name, we give it a label, and 3 and 4 we begin to value it. I like it, I don't like it, I feel neutral about it. We elaborate it, we give it a story. We are now in conceptualization rather than in experience. So the naked awareness occurs by trying to remain in that first moment of experience, remain in it over and over again. And whenever we drift from it, come back to it. And the coming back to it, as I teach them, has several different phases. When we begin to get into conceptualization, we can get back by simply pulling ourselves back. That's the earliest and crudest way. The second way is mindfulness. It's a little less crude, but still a basic way, as we can begin to label thought, feeling, image, past, future, as many people are now taught, and then come back to the particular sensation we're working with, which could be vision, auditory, or even a thought or feeling, mental consciousness. And then the more subtle forms of it are beginning to simply learn not to react, not to relate, not to get involved with the thought, feeling, image, let it pass like a cloud in the sky. And more subtle is to not even get involved with letting it pass, but just actually being there, being present, and letting it be by itself. And the most subtle form is when one is able to see it arise, not as a sensation, not as a thought, not as a feeling, not as an image, but as an energy form arising out of pure awareness. So I teach them progressively to stay in that bare awareness by learning how to progressively learn how to deal with the movements of the mind until they in fact become the bare awareness itself. As that develops over time, there is increasingly the possibility that one will drop into or more easily have evoked and stabilize that non-dual space of pure awareness. So it's that way in which I teach, in a very secular way, the process of going into meditation, of transitioning through the 3 stages of meditation, and of working with the obstacle to that, which is the concretization of sensation, thoughts, feelings, and images. All of it I pose to them within the Western tradition. So I want to leave it there and let us go gently into meditation, as you already know how to do. And most of you, I am sure, have already succeeded in largely being able to still the mind. And so they're moving forward from there into awareness. So I invite you all to have a wonderful meditation session, which I'd be glad and delighted to join you with.
Jaya Sadguru Bhagavan
So remaining in awareness. We've been cultivating awareness for quite some time now, about an hour. Let's focus on those we know and love who may be having difficulties. And we'll extend this light of awareness, this energy of awareness, this field of awareness to them, inside to inside, directly. Just like we can project our minds onto everything and anything, always not for the best, we can also have this great capacity, all of us, to extend this light of awareness into each other and into situations. We'll extend this to our city now, and to all the different cities. We can start to end up by rubbing our hands together, and if you like, we can place it on our heart. And all the different traditions use some form of sealing, and the sealing doesn't mean we're ending the experience. The sealing helps us sustain our awareness and being in awareness throughout the day, and that we experience everything and anything through this light. I'd like to thank everybody for coming, and I especially like to thank Elliot for coming and giving such a perfect talk today. It was really great. And I had no idea what he was going to talk about, but it's actually right on for what's taking place in our center. For many, many years, we've been having lamas come and giving great talks and retreats. But we're moving from that phase to having people who are really have an expertise and they're grounded in Eastern philosophy, but also they think and understand comparatively. And there's something about understanding things comparatively that free us from a catechism sort of mindset, you know? And so we're going to start having people like that, like Elliot, come. And we're going to have in October a priest named Father Tiso come, who has a mastery of Dzogchen and also a mastery of the Gnostic Christian traditions and how these different traditions interact and inform each other over time, and how this light unforms. So having said that, you're welcome to stay and meditate in here to 9 o'clock, or there's refreshments upstairs. Tomorrow, and actually for the rest of August on Saturdays, we'll not have Dakini Day, but we'll start that again in September. I'd like to thank everybody for coming. That chant we were hearing was a very, very old chant, probably 60 years old, of Swami Muktananda chanting in the temple in Ganeshpuri and invoking the energy of the primordial guru, and that capacity to invoke that light and invoke that energy and bring it into one's own self and into one's own situation. Thank you guys for coming, and we'll see you all next week.